Good afternoon, gentlemen. Week 6 is already upon us. Wanted to get into the matchups here. Looking at our matchups, I kind of feel like we kind of have a games of the week between Bad News Bears, Mind Freak, and then Jerkback Mountain and Egg Rolls. Let's first go to Jimmy Thing versus Chips. Hopefully, you guys have already set your lineups. I see that's not the case right now with Chips, but I'm going to call it like I see it as is for now. And I do like, looking through here, Peyton Manning versus Stafford. Manning versus San Diego should be good. Stafford versus Philly, probably somewhat good. McFadden's going to look strong for Oakland against Atlanta. Maybe not. Mendenhall versus Tennessee should be great. White versus Oakland, great. Harbin versus Washington. This is my big X factor right here. Minnesota has historically struggled in Washington at the old RFK Stadium. On the flip side, how Fred Davis does against Minnesota is going to go a long ways to determine this matchup. I think Foster versus Green Bay should be somewhat lucrative. Green Ellis versus Cleveland should be big. Same with Manning and San Diego. I already said as much. Bryant versus Baltimore could be okay. I'm going to tend to go with, I'm going to say Jimmy Thing in a very close one. I like a matchup like this to be between 138, 134 or so. It's going to be a close one. Jimmy Thing in the end. Multiple scoregasms versus Sterl. One team in scoregasms 3-2. Sterl is 2-3. Looking to get off the snide after a tough loss last week. I like Ryan versus Oakland. I like Charles versus Tampa Bay. Hollings is an X factor versus Buffalo, but he should, I think, maybe get in the end zone. Buffalo's defense isn't that great. However, it is at home for Arizona, which is another plus. Jackson versus Kansas City should be good. Wallace versus Tennessee is good as well. Cobb versus Houston, maybe 10 points. Gronkowski versus Seattle could do okay. On the flip side, I really think that Murray and Roethlisberger and Lloyd are going to be the strong scoring cogs for scoregasms. But I like still to come out ahead. I'm going to say 145 to 110. I just don't trust Washington Heartline, and I think Gonzalez won't do as good this week, being he had a great week last week. So again, Sterls in the end. Charlestown Chiefs, which is 2-3 versus Team Pigeon, who's been snake bit the last couple of weeks at 2-3 as well. I think will Griffin start versus Minnesota? First off, I think that's kind of a question mark. Jones-Drew is on bye, so it looks like it'll be Michael Bush. Should get some points. Matthews should be good against Denver. Richardson has been a stud all year. He's definitely going to be one of the top premier fantasy backs for a long time at Cleveland. Hickson might be okay. Wright, somewhat okay. Heath Miller, probably pretty good. Romo should... It's tough to say with Romo. I just don't know even what to say. Maybe 14 points. Maybe as much upside as 24. Dallas does need to run the ball a lot more. Donald Brown versus the Jets, maybe okay. Floyd versus Denver, I like that matchup. I like Kelvin Johnson. I like Daniels. I'm going to say in a low-scoring affair, Chiefs or Team Pigeon is going to come out on top because I feel like two of his three running backs. I say he wins 115 to 105, which is probably somewhere where Chiefs averages and where he typically will probably tend to finish his scoring out on an average basis throughout the year. Deep Edition versus Spreads, 4-1 versus 1-4. Critical game for spread heads. He's going to be obviously starting Andrew Luck at quarterback. They're playing against the Jets. Luck should do okay. Bush should do great against Seattle. Lynch against New England should be, I'm thinking 10 to 14 points. New England's run D is pretty good. Jorpy should do fairly good against Houston. Finley, I think he's questionable. J.J. Watt has been a stud. He's going to annihilate Green Bay's offensive line. He could have a huge game, maybe as much as 20 points. On the flip side, though, I think Eli Manning will do okay against San Fran, probably 15 points. AP against Washington. That's going to be my big X factor here. Obviously, AP probably wants to have a good performance. Being Washington ended the season early last year. I think Ray Rice will do good against Dallas. LaShore is questionable as far as I think Javed Best is concerned. I think Reggie Wayne, Julio Jones, and hopefully Antonio Gates can step up. If I can get production on 4 or 5 of those guys, I like myself winning in a mild scoring matchup, 120 to maybe 110 for spread heads. Go to our co-matchup of the week between Jerkback Mountain and Egg Rolls. I think I've already done this once with you two. And again, I feel like at 2 and 3, it's a critical time for both of your teams. One team goes to 2 and 4. They're going to be at least a game or maybe even 2 games back of a playoff spot potentially, depending upon how everyone else does in the division. Dalton versus Rivers. I'm probably going to go with, Dalton should have a good game against Cleveland. Rivers should do okay against Denver. Ridley's going to do well. Morris should do, I don't know how well he's going to do. I'm surprised you're not going to start Alex Green or maybe even Doug Martin there. Wes Welker should be great. Dwayne Bowe should do well. AJ Green obviously is a must start. Minnesota's D depends on who the quarterback is going to be at Washington as far as how much of a factor they'll be. And then you look at Egg Rolls, who hasn't started his matchup here or put in his kicker or his defensive guy. But with that said, Cruz should do well. Spiller's questionable. McCoy should do good. I don't think Jackie Battle's going to get it done. And I like Jerkback Mountain to score probably late 130s or mild 140s and probably beat Egg Rolls by about 20 points or so. Other matchup, co-matchup of the week is Bad News Bears versus our undefeated Mind Freak, 5-0 versus 1-4. Every game for Bad News Bears is a must-win. Aaron Rodgers should be able to, you'd figure, get some points against Houston. McGahee, probably okay against San Diego. Sean Green against Indianapolis. He's going back to Sean Green. I guess you got to do this. Indy's defense isn't the same defense that it used to be, meaning it's maybe not as favorable of a matchup. But, do you go with Sproles? Well, Sproles is on bye. Ronnie Brown for San Diego. He could get you some points. I don't know who's going to get more between Sean Green and Ronnie Brown. But Crabtree should do well. Deshaun Jackson versus Detroit. I like him to have a great game. Jared Allen versus Washington. Again, depends on the quarterback. He could get some good points. But I think in the end, I like Brady. I like Turner. I like Gore. James Jones might get a touchdown. Steve Johnson is going to be a big X factor. I think Eric Decker is going to do well. And I actually expect Brent Selleck to have a good game against Detroit. I'm going to say Bad News Bears somehow figures out a way to get it done. And that is this week's preview. Sorry if it's a little bit choppy, gents. I may do a preview version 2 prior to Sunday, depending upon how many lineup changes I see between now and Sunday. So with that said, good luck tonight. Enjoy the game. Later, guys.